Hello everyone, welcome to GSS course YouTube channel. I am Prince Mishra and we are starting a new series of GS syllabus decoding. The purpose of this new series is to help out most of the students, those who are coming in this UPSC preparation, and those students always face this difficulty that what should be studied, what should not be studied, from where we need to study, which of the topic we need to cover of each and every GS subject. This session will be highly helpful also to those candidates who are already in this UPSC preparation, but still they are not able to compile their overall preparation, they are not able to channelize their overall preparation, mainly because of this scope of the subject, because the UPSC syllabus is given mostly in the overview form, and what are the micro topics that are supposed to be studied is not being highlighted explicitly by the UPSC. That is why you needed some form of the micro detailing of the topics. In this session, I will start with the geography component of the climatology topic. As far as geography is concerned, geography is being divided into broad division, that is the physical geography and the human and economic geography. Within the physical geography, we have the world physical and also we have the India physical. Climatology is part of world physical as well as India physical, but here we are only looking out the climatology topic of the world physical. In the world physical, if you will look out the syllabus that is being given by the UPSC, you will find UPSC highlights the topics like India and world geography, physical, social, economic geography of India and the world. So here we have the topic of physical geography that deals with the climatology topics. Similarly, when you will look out the second topic, you will find we have a salient features of the world physical geography. Within this also you will have the climatology topic, and then we have one more topic that is being mentioned by the UPSC is important geophysical phenomena such as earthquake, tsunami, volcanic activity and cyclone. So here we have the cyclone. Now let's look out the topics that you are supposed to study, because in UPSC syllabus you will find only the climatology, and as far as climatology is concerned, there are large number of questions are being asked both the prelims and as well as mains examination. So when you will look out the topics that you are supposed to study under the climatology, the topics that we need to look out is composition and structure of atmosphere. Atmosphere is one of the major sphere out of the four major sphere. So on the earth's surface we have the four major spheres, that is the lithosphere, biosphere, also we have the hydrosphere and atmosphere. The combination of the lithosphere, atmosphere, hydrosphere gives birth to the biosphere. Biosphere is the zone where the livings are there, where the life is possible. So atmosphere is important component. How this atmosphere came into existence, you need to have idea. The first thing that you are supposed to know, the origin of atmosphere, how this atmosphere evolved, whether the atmosphere evolved at the same time when earth came into existence or the atmosphere's evolution is different. Within the atmosphere, what is the composition of the atmosphere? Atmosphere is comprised of the different gases. How those gases has been added in our atmosphere, the genesis of the gases, the composition of atmosphere. Atmosphere is being comprised in the different layers. So the genesis of gases, which of the gases are present? So within the gases we have the presence of many gases, but out of many gases the one of the very important gas happens to be oxygen, which is a life-giving gas. But from the atmospheric point of the view, most important gases happens to be the material happens to be those materials which are known to have a greenhouse effect. So genesis of both oxygen, how the oxygen has been added in our atmosphere, and also the genesis of other greenhouse gases. Within the genesis, because genesis will give you the idea about the atmosphere, as I said that atmosphere is comprised of, it is one of the major spheres. So how the life evolve on the earth's surface, that knowledge you will get to know when you will study the genesis of atmosphere. So within the topics, the first topic that you need to cover is origin of atmosphere, composition and structure of atmosphere, the genesis of gases, how the gases are being added. Other than this, also you need to understand the heat budget. Heat budget is mainly associated with the heat on the earth's surface, and the main source of the heat is insolation. So within this heat budget, you need to have idea about the basic dynamics of the insolation. Basic dynamics of the insolation will give you the idea of the heating and cooling. So you are supposed to study heating and cooling also. General heating and cooling will also help you understanding the temperature. So within the broad scope of the heat budget, you are supposed to study the insolation, the dynamics of insolation, how the insolation is reaching, which part of the earth's surface is receiving what amount of solar energy. This insolation is how it is helping the heating and cooling on the earth's surface. Within the heating and cooling on the earth's surface, how the temperature is changing. Then the temperature, how this temperature is varying. So variation of temperature in two forms. The horizontal variation, so you need to study the horizontal variation. Also you need to study the vertical variation, so horizontal distribution of the temperature. So from the equator toward the pole, different part of the world, horizontal variation. The vertical variation whenever you will go upside, there will be increase in the height, decrease in the temperature, the rate of decrease of temperature, how it is changing. So that you are supposed to study. In fact, this temperature is a hidden part of the climatology. Lot of time student might have looked out the different topics, specifically the those students who are preparing for UPSC from quite long time. So sometimes they have studied some of the complicated topics of climatology, but they are not having clarity of how the temperature is changing. You can look out the previous year's question paper, you will find the UPSC is looking out these hidden areas where conceptual clarity is needed. So in last 2024 examination, so they have given almost 3 to 4 questions in the prelims directly from this topic. So temperature clarity is very important, but the temperature clarity you will get only when you have the general understanding of this insolation, heating, cooling of the earth's surface, the overall heat budget. Then the topic of general circulation of the atmosphere. General circulation of the atmosphere is extension of this temperature. So this temperature insolation will be extended in the form of atmospheric pressure. So here you are supposed to study the atmospheric pressure. So under the general circulation of atmosphere, you are supposed to study the atmospheric pressure, also the factors affecting atmospheric pressure, factors affecting atmospheric pressure. When you will have the pressure differences, because the pressure is not same, so when there is a pressure difference, so obviously this pressure difference will give birth to the pressure gradient. So the topic of pressure gradient will help in the movement of air. So pressure gradient will help in the movement of air, and that moving air horizontally will be known as wind. That is another topic. Also, this general circulation of the atmosphere is not only based on the horizontal variation. So there are two components, one is a horizontal variation, the another one is a vertical variation. So in the vertical variation, two more topics that you are supposed to study under this is pressure distribution or belt distribution on the earth's surface. Also you are supposed to study the different cells. These different cells are also known as the cyclic movement of the atmosphere, atmospheric circulation. This atmospheric circulation mainly happens in the 3 different cells. So, there are total 6 cells, 3 in the northern hemisphere, 3 in the southern hemisphere, and we call it as tricellular meridional model. So, tricellular circulation that are supposed to be studied, and in this tricellular circulation you are supposed to study, you are supposed to know the different cells, that is Hadley cell, Ferrel cell, also polar cell. So, these are the topics that you are supposed to study under the general circulation of the atmosphere. So, general circulation of the atmosphere, this is a very important topic because this general circulation of the atmosphere is highly helpful in moving out, in transporting the energy from one place to another place, and also it affects the other areas. Moving to the next topic, that is the wind. Wind and general circulation of the atmosphere is very much linked. Under the wind, what are the different topics that you are supposed to study? So, the first topic that you are supposed to study, that how the winds are moving, the direction of the wind, the factors that are affecting the direction of the wind. So, there are different factors, there are different forces which affect the wind, and also these forces gives birth to the geostrophic wind, geostrophic wind. So, in one of the year they have directly asked that what is geostrophic wind. You have studied the wind, but you are not having the clarity of geostrophic wind, so you will not be able to answer. Then the types of wind. In the types of wind, we have the global wind that you are supposed to study. Also, you are supposed to study the seasonal winds. Seasonal winds, also you are supposed to study the local wind. Seasonal winds and local winds in one way or other are more or less same. So, we have the seasonal winds and local winds. Seasonal winds that are not blowing in a same direction throughout the season or within the day and night, and the local winds are associated with the winds that are limited to the localized area. So, these are not the winds that are blowing throughout the globe, these are not the winds that are blowing permanently. So, it is like that it will blow in one season and it will not blow in the another season. So, that is the local wind. So, these are the topics that you are supposed to study under the winds. Moving to the next topic that you are supposed to study in this climatology. So, the next topic is the topic of jet stream. Jet streams are also part of this atmospheric circulation. Like how the surface, on the surface horizontally moving air is known as the wind. Similarly, in above atmosphere also we have the wind that is known as geostrophic wind, and these geostrophic winds are also known as jet stream. So, jet streams you are supposed to study the direction of the jet stream, how the jet stream affects any area. So, effect of jet stream, in fact jet streams affect the Indian monsoon. So, role of jet stream over Indian monsoon. Also, jet stream brings different consequences effect. Like one of the effect over the Indian climate is associated with the bringing a small amount of moisture during the winter season. So, these jet streams bring moisture during the winter season over the Indian mainland, majority part of the India, which is simply known as the western disturbances. So the western disturbances are very much associated with a subtropical westerly jet stream which brings the temperate cyclone. So that is also very important, and it is associated with the role of jet stream over Indian monsoon. So these are the topics that you are supposed to study the jet stream. Even the jet streams also affect the polar area. So in polar area we have a polar jet stream, and polar jet stream will have a different roles. So there is a phenomena that is being witnessed in the polar area, and that is associated with the jet stream, which is simply known as the polar vortex. So phenomena of polar vortex is very much associated with the jet stream. Jet streams are basically being divided in two categories: permanent jet streams and the temporary jet stream. Permanent jet streams are the jet streams that are blowing throughout the year, and the temporary jet stream are limited to only in some seasons of the year. Like one of the temporary jet streams also affect Indian monsoon, which develops from the Tibetan region. We call it as Tibetan jet stream. So jet streams has a great linkages with the Indian monsoon. So without understanding the jet stream, it will be difficult to understand the dynamics concepts of the monsoon, or you can say the advanced concept of the monsoon, modern concept of the Indian monsoon. Then moving to the next topic, that is the water in the atmosphere. Water in the atmosphere is primarily deals with the rainfall. So here you are supposed to study some of the topics like humidity. Humidity is the moisture. Moisture is also, atmospheric vapor is also one of the component of the atmosphere. So in composition of the atmosphere, you are supposed to study the amount of water vapor that is present. So within that composition, humidity you are supposed to study, and humidity, how the water is being added, how the water added in atmosphere and its variation. So variation of the humidity will be horizontal variation, vertical variation. So there will be two different variations that you are supposed to study. Then the role of humidity related to phenomena of condensation, because the water will transform in different states. So first the water from the surface will transform into the water vapor, gaseous form में change होगा. Then water vapor will transform into the liquid or ice crystal through the process of condensation. This process of condensation is associated with another phenomena, that is adiabatic cooling. So adiabatic cooling is very important process that is associated with the rising of air and the cooling of the air. This is the general process toward the condensation. When the condensation will take place, it will result into the different forms. So when the condensation will take place, it will result into different forms. So you are supposed to study the forms of condensation, so there are different forms of condensation which primarily depends on the dew point temperature. So depending upon the dew point temperature, there are two different forms of the condensation. Condensation also differs from the place to place where the condensation is happening. Like when the condensation is happening in the atmosphere, we call it atmospheric condensation. Atmospheric condensation produces clouds, whereas the condensation can also occur ground. So we categorize as like atmospheric condensation, and also ground level condensation. Atmospheric condensation primarily associated with the cloud, but this ground level condensation is associated with mainly with the phenomena of temperature inversion. Phenomena of temperature inversion. Temperature inversion phenomena is directly associated with the two important phenomena. There are different forms of the condensation through the temperature inversion, but the two of the phenomena you are supposed to study from where questions regularly being asked. One is a fog, another is a dew. So fog and dew is nothing, but these are the forms of condensation, mainly when the condensation is taking place near the surface. We call it as ground level condensation. In atmospheric condensation, the most important form of atmospheric condensation is the clouds. So there are different types of clouds. So clouds, types of clouds. So clouds, there are different types of cloud that you are supposed to study. Stratus cloud, we have the nimbus cloud, we have the cumulus cloud, so cirrus cloud. So there are different clouds, and some of the clouds characteristic, that high clouds, middle cloud, low cloud. So all the types of clouds you are supposed to study, which are the rain bearing clouds, so that you are supposed to study, because it is the cloud that will be associated with the next two topics that comes under the atmospheric disturbances. So now moving to the next topic, that is air mass. Air mass is a phenomena that will be associated when the large scale air, large scale huge parcel of air try to acquire the physical characteristic, mainly in terms of humidity and temperature. So air mass, temperate cyclone, these two are very much limited. These two are very much linked up with the phenomena of some of the atmospheric disturbances. So how air mass develops, the condition for the development of air mass that you are supposed to know. Then types of air mass, modification of air mass, also you are supposed to study the effect of air mass over weather and climate. So effect of air mass over weather and climate, modification of air mass, effect of air mass over weather and climate. When the air mass will develop, the different type of air mass they will develop, then this air mass will interact with each other and they will be associated with the next phenomena, and next phenomena is simply known as temperate cyclone. So air mass is associated with another phenomena that you are supposed to study, that is the front. So air mass will transform into the front, and front is nothing but it is the temperate cyclone. Where it will develop. Then features, effect. So features of temperate cyclone, effect of temperate cyclone, where the temperate cyclone will develop and how it will affect the local weather and climate. Like one of the temperate cyclone is primarily affecting the Indian monsoon in the form of western disturbances. So western Indian climate is highly affected by the western disturbances. That is one of the important effect of temperate cyclone. Very much similar to the temperate cyclone, we have one more cyclonic phenomena. So we generally study these two topics in one go, that is tropical cyclone. Under the broad perspective, what is cyclone, types of cyclone. So within the type of cyclone, one is a temperate, another one is a tropical cyclone. Conditions for the development of tropical cyclone, because in the front we already have understood that how the temperate cyclone will develop. तो front में आप temperate cyclone पढ़ेंगे, tropical cyclone separately पढ़ेंगे. So these are the topics under the tropical cyclone that you are supposed to study. Types of cyclone, conditions for the development of tropical cyclone, then distribution of tropical cyclone. So the distribution of tropical cyclone you are supposed to study. Where the tropical cyclone develops, conditions will definitely let you know that why the tropical cyclones are developing, where the tropical cyclones are developing, tropical cyclones are present. Tropical cyclone is a disturbances, means these are not the phenomena that will develop throughout the year. Then one more weather related phenomena that is highly associated with oceanic phenomena. So weather and ocean, atmosphere and hydrosphere is very much linked up. Tropical cyclone is also linked up with that. Another phenomenon that is El Niño is there. So El Niño, La Niña, where these El Niños are developing, where El Niño and La Niña develops, how they develops, when they develops, and effect of these phenomena. So these are the topics that you are supposed to study in one go. Then in the end, out of these atmospheric disturbances, what you are supposed to study is the main difference between tropical and temperate cyclone. So within this you are supposed to study the difference between the tropical and temperate cyclone. Moving to the last topic, but before that there are two topics that you are supposed to study. It will be part of like general composition, it will also be associated with the structure of atmosphere, it will also associated with the tropical cyclone, it will also be associated with the wind. So there are few topics that are not associated with only one topic, but they will have a different consequences. Like in a structure of atmosphere, we have a different structure, troposphere, then we have a stratosphere, then we have mesosphere, then we have exosphere. Within the exosphere, we have a phenomena that is simply referred as lightning phenomena, which is known as auroras. So aurora is a topic that is associated with both general geography as well as climatology. Auroras will be witnessed in two hemispheres in the form of northern lights and southern lights. Northern light is Aurora borealis and southern light is Aurora australis. So this aurora also needs to be studied as part of the climatology, mixed up with the climatology as well as general geography. Then there is one more topic which is associated with the ocean, which is associated with the climate, which is associated with the general feature characteristic of the earth, and it is the rotation of the earth, which is part of the general geography. So when I will give you the listing of the general geography, there I will give you the list of this topic, but associated with this we have a force known as Coriolis force. So how the Coriolis force affect any freely moving object, specifically wind. So movement of the wind gets affected, movement of jet stream get affected, movement of cyclone gets affected, movements of storm gets affected, movements of twister gets affected, movement of hurricanes gets affected. So every movement, freely movement on the earth surface gets affected by this force that is known as the Coriolis force. The last topic that you are supposed to study within the climate is the world climate, there are different types of climate that are present on the Earth's surface. So it is associated with the types of climate. There are different types of climate that are prevalent on the Earth's surface, starting from the equatorial climate, also monsoon climate, also we have savanna climate, also we have hot desert climate. So we have a equatorial climate, monsoon climate, savanna climate, hot desert climate. Monsoon, savanna, hot desert, these climates will be present in the tropical area. Also we have Mediterranean climate. Then we have steppe climate. Then we have China type climate. These climates are mainly present in the lower latitude of temperate area. We call it as warm temperate. Then in cool temperate area we have the east margin cool temperate climate. That you are supposed to study, which is also known as Laurentian climate. Then also you are supposed to study about the Siberian climate, which is also known as taiga climate, British climate, and in the end we have the polar climate. So British climate, polar climate. So these are the different types of climate that you are supposed to study, their feature. You need to know the general temperature pattern, general rainfall pattern, what are the prevalent vegetation over there, what are the different economic activity that is being performed, whether it is agriculture dominated, whether it is industry dominated, if in agriculture whether it's conventional cropping or whether it's a fishing. So these are the features that you are supposed to study about the world climate. So in a way, world climate is an application of all the topics of the climatology that you will study. Then on top of it, the general pattern, the general thing that is affecting the entire humanity, that is also part of the climatology, and the topic is almost overlapping with the geography as well as environment, and this is climate change. So the topic of climate change, so within this climate change, how it is affecting, where gravity, how it is affecting the phenomena, if jet stream is affecting or not, rainfall is getting affected or not, temperature is getting affected or not, winds are getting affected or not, cyclonic activities are getting affected or not, different climates of the world, how these are getting affected or not. So all these things you are supposed to study. So these are the topics that you are supposed to study. As far as climate is concerned, climatology is emerging one of the most important component in geography, from where large number of questions are being asked both in the prelims as well as mains. But if you look out last few years, अगर आप 2-3 साल का क्वेश्चन देखेंगे तो आपको मिलेगा कि क्लाइमेटोलॉजी से बहुत सारे क्वेश्चन पूछे जा रहे हैं, एंड इट इज़ नॉट ए कोइंसिडेंस दैट from the geography number of questions are increasing. It is in sync with the problems that the humanity, that this earth is facing. Within that overview, the questions are being asked. Like in the mains examination, if you look out, in 2024, 40 marks question has been asked. So total 100 marks questions are being asked from the geography, and in that geography we have the both physical as well as human economic, and always human economic portion is much higher. But now within the human and economic perspective, they are bringing the climatological perspective, how the climate change is affecting the food security. So you need to be very much clear about the different topics of the climatology you need to study. 23, only one question has been asked, 10 marker. 22, again 2 questions has been asked, 25 marker. 21, 2 questions of being asked, 15 marker each, 30 marks. And in 2020, Again only one question has been asked. So regularly you can see that you will get the question from the climatology, and it covers a major portions of your mains. So you need to take it very seriously of this topic. Coming to the prelims examination, if we look out, so in prelims examination also good number of questions are being asked from the climatology portions of the geography. Like in 2024, 5 questions has been asked. In 2023, 2 questions have been asked. In 2022, 1 question has been asked, and in 2021 of course they have not asked any question from the climate, and when they have not asked any question from this climate, so they will definitely ask in the mains. So both prelims and mains they are asking. In 2020, like they have asked very large number of question. So this is the pattern that you need to understand. Now let's look out some of the recent question that has been asked. So I have mentioned here the questions of 2024. So in 2024 they have asked the question, that is, what is the phenomena of cloud burst? Explain. This cloud burst phenomena is associated with both general pattern of the rainfall and also the some of the atmospheric disturbances. So combination of atmospheric disturbances as well as cloud will help you understand this phenomena of cloud burst, where cloud burst happens, how this cloud burst happens. So this is within the broad topic of rainfall and the cloud question has been asked. Then one more question has been asked, what are Aurora australis and Aurora borealis, how these are triggered? So again, as I said, that this is a topic that is mixed of climate as well as the general geography, but here you need to understand that this is associated with the structure of atmosphere. So from the broader topic of structure of the atmosphere, this question has been asked. Then one more question has been asked in 2024, what is twister? Twisters are nothing but these are the tornadoes. So twisters are nothing but these are the tornadoes, and mostly develops over the land part nearby the Gulf of Mexico region. So they are very much similar to the characteristic of the tropical cyclone. So majority of the twisters observed in the areas of Gulf of Mexico. So this question is within the broad topic of your cyclone, tropical cyclone. So within the broad topic of tropical cyclone, you need to study that where the tropical cyclone develops, what are the different conditions that the require for the development of tropical cyclone, the distribution of the tropical cyclone. Then in 2023, there was a question that has been asked, discuss the consequences of climate change on the food security in the tropical country. So you need to understand that what are the different tropical countries, which of the different climate is present over the tropical countries, what is the economic activity of those. So this is the question from the world climate. Also, this is the question associated with the climate change. So it is a mixed question of mix of two topics, climate change as well as the world climate. Then again, one question that has been asked in 2022 is associated with the topic of cyclone. Discuss the meaning of color coded weather warnings for cyclone prone areas given by the IMD. This question is of tropical cyclone. Also, it is a very much associated with one more component of mains, that is the disaster management. Disaster management basically is a topic of paper 3, GS paper 3, but disaster management question can also be asked in the paper 1. So this is associated with the climatology mix as well as disaster management. Then one more questions that was asked in 2022 is, troposphere is very significant atmospheric layer. So it is a structure of atmosphere. So again a question associated with the structure of the atmosphere. Troposphere is a very significant atmospheric layer that determines weather process how. I will also come out with a series where I will take up the question and I will give you the brief idea how to approach the question, how to do the answer writing. So, in this session we are only looking out the syllabus. So, that is why I am not giving you the detailed explanation that how you should approach the question, क्या लिखना चाहिए, किस तरीके से introduction of body लिखेंगे, conclusion लिखेंगे, framework बनाएंगे. ठीक है. So, these are the some of the areas. This is a sample question through which you can look out that how the questions are being asked, and these questions are very much asked from those micro topics from the major topics. So, if you will not study the micro topics, it will be difficult for you to tackle the question. Then again, one prelims question you can look out. The atmosphere is heated more by incoming solar radiation than by terrestrial radiation. Carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases in the atmosphere are good absorber of the long wave radiation. So, this question is being asked directly from the general pattern of heating and cooling on the earth's surface. So, if you are not have clarity of how heat budget, if you are not having the clarity of the heat budget, general pattern of cooling and heating on the earth's surface, it will be very difficult to answer this question. Also, with reference to Coriolis force, which of the following statements are correct? So, Coriolis force, the invisible force that is applicable on the earth's surface mainly because of the earth's rotation. So, this is how the questions are being asked, and the questions are mainly being asked from the micro topics. So, micro topics needs to be covered. Now, new students always look out that what are the options available to prepare these micro topics, from where these micro topics needs to be prepared. So, I will suggest the basic reference for the climatology, that you are supposed to look out is NCERT. So, NCERT's class 11th Fundamentals of Physical Geography. You are not supposed to look out any other things. Just read that. From the book perspective, you don't needed any other book. Once you have a good command, specifically those students who have just started their preparation. तो अगर आप अभी preparation में आए हैं, तो अगर आप खुद से preparation कर रहे हैं, so it will always be suggestive that you should start with the NCERT class 11. Once you have a good basis, once you have you have reached to that position where you have prepared all the topics given in the NCERT, then you can move to the one book, that is G.C. Leong book, the Certificate of Physical and Human Geography. So, that book you can refer and try to solve as many number of questions as much possible, both the objective question as well as subjective question. So, these are the two references that you can look out other than the atlas. So, along with the atlas, these two references you can follow, and for any suggestion, any queries, you can reach out to us. We will definitely try to help you out. So, that's it from my side. Thank you.